You've covered a lot of different stories in your time. Are there particular challenges other than just the grimness to covering stories about what goes on inside?
It's all secret. In New York state law, everything that a correction officer does on the job is a secret under law. Section 50A of the New York State Civil Rights Law, believe it or not, keeps every bit of a personnel record secret. So if you do something bad, even if you're cited for it, you're disciplined for it, it's a secret. You can't find out about it. And the only way I've been able to dig stuff out is that sometimes they go into court to try to force the state to live up to some order that it's gotten from an arbitrator to pay up his back pay or something. And then I get the arbitrator's decision, and then I get some of the backup material. But other than that, this is like a crisis that's been playing out every single day for years behind bars and is completely out of sight and out of mind.
Yeah, the transparency issues are like one of the things that I think if you haven't done a prison story, even other reporters don't understand just how, I mean, it's a secure system, there's a certain logic to it, but you know, I remember once we did a story about Bedford Hills and I sent a photographer up to take a picture of the prison from the road and he got picked up by the local police and we had to have a ridiculous dispute about who the road belonged to.
Right.
But you've encountered that as well. The transparency stuff is really sort of all-encompassing.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think it's also so arbitrary, you know, depending on who the warden is at what given facility, within what state, you know, you either have access or you don't. But one thing along the same lines that has less to do with access to facilities and more just to do with access to information is, you know, I've done a lot of reporting over the years on, again, on executions and sort of specifically on lethal injection and all these controversies and sort of perverse formulas we've come up with, you know, to try to kill prisoners. And what states have done actually in recent years is basically pass laws making it an official state secret to know what drugs, where they're obtaining the drugs they use to kill prisoners. And this has become a very contentious legal issue. And I was recently in Oklahoma covering an execution that did not go forward in the end. But part of the challenge there was that there was all these questions came up afterwards. They had the wrong drug at the last moment and they realized this right before this execution was going to go forward. How did this happen? We have no idea because we're not allowed to know who the provider of this drug is to the state. And so it presents all of these incredibly perverse challenges and the fact that these laws continue to be passed right now is really alarming.
Did any of this stuff come up during the Attica story you did earlier this year? I imagine you encountered some of these issues, some of these obstacles. How did that come onto your plate and, you know, talk about that?
Well, in that case, there was actually a criminal charge that had been brought against 3 guards at Attica for beating this 29-year-old inmate. I mean, they had broken 2 of his legs, his collarbone, and his right orbital socket, and almost killed him. And they had ultimately been charged criminally for that. So, you know, you're charging criminal. They can't make that a secret. At least they haven't figured out a way to do it yet. So there was a public record of some of the underlying documents that I was able to get that at least say, okay, this is what they say happened. And working backwards from there. But, you know, in terms of getting the actual internal discipline. I said, well, okay, so were these guys bad apples? Like, were they a problem for a long time? And I thought that was a perfectly reasonable question to ask the New York's Department of Corrections. They said, well, we can't tell you. Said, well, what do you mean you can't tell me? These guys are under criminal indictment for beating someone in your facility. Right. That would be a violation of 50A.